This is the Gemini New Moon Report 2022. So let's get started. We've got the new moon in Gemini at 9 degrees. And Gemini is about communication. It is about expression of ideas, and Gemini is an air sign. So Gemini is about being detached, somewhat intellectualizing, if you will, our feelings and our expression. And the sign of Gemini is ruled by the third house, and the third house rules communication, both spoken, both verbal, and the third house is about travel. It is about restlessness and communicating with those within our vicinity. And this will be a highlight during this new moon in Gemini. And as always, new moons are very good for fresh starts and new energy. Now, the depositor of Gemini is Mercury, and it is finishing up its retrograde phase in the sign of Taurus, and will be going direct within a day or two after the new moon. But nonetheless, it is in the sign of Taurus. So this somewhat colors our expression in a way where we are going to be very fixed and very stubborn about our attitude. So it'll be one thing that we want to communicate whatever we want to communicate with other people, but we will have a tendency, especially with a retrograde Mercury right now, to not really make our intentions clear. So we could be talking, but we will have to be careful that we don't come across as someone who is rather pushy or stubborn or fixed in our ideas, not really opening up and considering what other people have to say. And this is really important right now, both with the Taurus emphasis and both with the uh, retrograde Taurus energy, and the connection as well with Uranus in Taurus, and that's squaring off the very Uranian Saturn in Aquarius. And then 2 weeks after the new moon, approximately, Venus will apply a conjunction to Uranus. So there's a lot of this Taurus Aquarius-ish somewhat feel to it right now. So the idea is to be very clear, concise, and if you can, sidestep any kind of conflicts, because we've got a T-square going on here in the fixed sign, and that's with the Taurus retrograde Mercury, the depositor of the new moon, with the North Node, which is a very sensitive part, and our sensitivities will be very heightened. Then we've got Saturn in Aquarius. Then we have the South Node in Scorpio, and that South Node with Scorpio creates more of an emotional scene, if you will. And so that applies a T-square within the fixed sign. So the idea is not to be so opinionated and develop such fixed attitudes right now that we will develop opposition or conflict. And right now, that could also be a bit of a theme. Conflicts created the unexpected, the unpredictable, the unusual. If we can be more understanding and more sympathetic, and especially since this is emphasized with Neptune in Pisces, which makes a sweet sextile to retrograde Mercury in Taurus, that will benefit us. So be objective, be negotiable, and we'll be able to avoid any conflicts physically, verbally, or otherwise. But this right now may be a scene worldwide. Then we've got this Uranian connection with Taurus and Aquarius. So what does Aquarius, Uranus connect with? It connects with, yes, communications, somewhat like the Gemini new moon, but right now with Mercury retrograde in Taurus, Saturn in Aquarius, especially Aquarius, connects with communications, connected with the internet. It connects with technology, computers. So there could be some issues right now and breakdowns with communications, with technology, and yes, there could be some issues with hacking and all kinds of connections with social media. Aquarius and the new moon in Gemini and this Taurus Uranian sense right now. So the theme during the time of the new moon, just before, afterwards, and before the new moon, is expect the unexpected. Now, as aforementioned, we've got Venus applying a conjunction within 2 weeks around the middle of June with Uranus. So Venus likes to be in Taurus, so we will have a desire to really express our affections and how we feel, but then it bumps into Uranus and this stubborn attitude and this T-square, and that creates, with the nodes, a lot of heightened emotions and emotionalism. So do be careful of being possessive or stubborn around loved ones, creating conflict and opposition as aforementioned, because this could be kind of a bit of a messy new moon with all this Taurus, Uranian Aquarius connection right now. And what else does Taurus rule? Well, Taurus rules the earth. And with the Uranian, the Saturn and Aquarius, and then we've got Pluto in a very earth sign of Aquarius retrograde and very close to 0 degrees Aquarius. Yes, there could be some kind of natural disasters that we will have to look out for. This Taurus, Aquarius, Uranian connection and Pluto in Capricorn. Now, what else do Pluto in Capricorn and the very earthy Taurus connect with? They connect with not only our earth, but they are earth signs, and Capricorn, especially Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, and the Taurus emphasis stellium right now is connected with the material, money, and Taurus and Mercury retrograde and Pluto in Capricorn retrograde, although they are making a trine, which is good, but they're making a backwards trine. They're both retrograde. This is not the time, folks, for investing because money is going to be very, unpredictable right now. The stock market with this Taurus, with this Pluto and Capricorn retrograde stuff going on right now is going to be very unpredictable and up and down like a seesaw. Not the time to put out for investing right now, especially in real estate and the stock market, anything investing. So hold on to your money right now. Also, because of the effect of Taurus and retrograde Mercury and Pluto retrograde and very close to Aquarius and Pluto in Capricorn, hold on to your money. Make sure you don't lose money. That's not just investing, but that's also physically. There's a possibility for actual physical loss of money right now. So if you can hold off, very likely, I would say around the end of June, it's a better time for the financial picture at that particular time. And what does Pluto rule? It rules power, and in Capricorn, it's about government, it's about power, it's about authority, not just money and the earth. So all of this, especially retrograde, hanging out with retrograde Taurus, even if a trine retrograde, a lot of stubborn fixed attitudes and possible conflicts with authorities, people in government, and the government are powers that be acting rather unpredictably and like a bully right now because of this Uranian-Taurus connection. So just hang on to your seats, folks, for this new moon in Gemini around the 30th, because it is going to be a bit of a doozy. It's going to be about the unpredictable, about the stubborn, about the original too. Let's look at the good side here. Taurus appreciates beauty, and Saturn and Aquarius, Uranus and Taurus is also about the unusual with beauty. So there could be really some unusual creativity or discussions or expressions about the unusual right now in beauty or the aesthetic creativity at this particular time. And that includes fashion, personal creativity, you name it. But Taurus, kind of like Capricorn, is about business. So businesses right now could suffer a little bit of a setback. And additionally, this is not so much the time to start a business, but we've got lucky Jupiter and Mars in its own in Aries. So there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm right now about discussing fresh starts and beginnings, and a lot of individuals expressing a lot of amazing ideas regarding business at this time. So I would not suggest that you start a business right now. No signing on the line right now because of all this retrograde and Uranian stuff going on out there. But with Jupiter in very positive Aries and its depositor with Mars and Aries in its own, that's going to give us some impetus to begin begin grand ventures and adventures, because Aries is very adventurous, and this makes a wide sextile to the new moon in Gemini. So that lends for some great positivity in all this, well, to be honest, combativeness with the fixed emphasis and the retrograde and the Taurus and the T-square and all that iffiness going on. That's a positive sign during this time, and that's just before and after the new moon and before the full moon. So if you can be sensitive to others' needs, not be fixed in your ideas and opinions, sidestep any and all conflicts, that is key right now, because if not, we're going to hear a lot about conflicts, oppositions, overstepping of power, and misunderstandings, and just a lot of mix-ups. Now, one good thing about the Gemini new moon, especially with a Gemini new moon, is Gemini rules humor and funny, and that is kind of amusing. But we, on the other hand, will have to not mock or make fun of Gemini others, and that could also create conflict right now, because Gemini, somewhat like its opposite sign of Sagittarius, has a great sense of humor, kind of silly and funny, sometimes goofy like Sag, but with all this fixed sign emphasis and this need to be right and kind of throw our weight around a little bit, we will, yes, have to be very cautious that we are not humoring someone at their expense. So that could also set off some conflict right now, mind you, mocking, humor. But if we can see the positive and look at that which is genuinely humorous and look at the bright side of light at life, especially with this Mars-Jupiter conjunction sextiling the new moon, that will greatly benefit us, very much so, and kind of provide some gaiety to all this heavy, stubborn, somewhat narrow-minded attitude during the new moon. Now, we've got Neptune, and that makes a sweet trine to the south node, sextile to the south node. So although there's going to be this push and shove attitude about the time of the new moon, Neptune in Pisces provides for some sensitivity, perhaps some need to be rather sensitive and sympathetic to other people's words and being more understanding, and it also makes Neptune a sextile to that rough retrograde Mercury in Taurus. So this is definitely a time of communicating exactly what we feel. If we do that, then we, as aforementioned, will avoid complications going on. And on the positive side, because of the sextile with Mercury, there may be, on and around the first of the month, some good connections with medicine and healing. So that's a positive as well. At this point of time, there's the standard Neptune and Pluto retrograde connection here, sextile Earth and water. So that will also help us to apply some common sense, some levity to all this difficulty to some degree in our communications during the time of the new moon. So, what's the lesson here? The lesson is to be objective, to be understanding, not to be so focused on being right or wrong or having the final word or getting your way, because that's just going to cause conflict during this new moon, especially since Gemini is really restless right now and really wants to express what they want. But we've got the Jupiter-Mars connection going on. Focus on the positive, eliminate the negative, and guess what? This new moon in Gemini, with all its ups and downs, will turn out to be rather positive.